Chairman Brady back to Congress. Thanks, sir. Sorry you have to be here during these days. My questions are primarily for Mr. Gottwald. And I noticed in your testimony, let me start in a different place. Just as a matter of trade strategy, are lower environmental standards in one country used for competitive advantage against countries with higher environmental standards?
Absolutely, Senator. We talk about a level playing field for workers. The environment comes into that as well.
And when that field isn't level, is that a proper occasion for the country who is disadvantaged to engage in tariff and other trade consequences to try to balance the field?
Absolutely. I think it's key to maintaining fair competition.
In your testimony, you recommended extending the rapid response mechanism to environmental violations. Could you explain your rationale for that?
Yes, we see in Mexico in particular lower environmental standards that provide a competitive advantage. We also see companies not complying with Mexico's environmental laws, polluting the air or the water. And I think, a facility-specific enforcement approach, which has been, successful under our labor chapter in USMCA, could be extended to the environment to really target the bad actors and use pressure to get things fixed.
If a company knows or can predict that a certain trade provision will not be enforced, will they pay much attention to that trade provision?
No.
For obvious reasons. Yeah. So I hope we can get together on trying to move to a rapid response mechanism for environmental violations. It is not just Republican administrations that ignore the environmental components of our trade agreements. Democrat administrations have been equally negligent and culpable, and I think we should fix it. With respect to ISDS, the ability for industries to sue companies, former U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer described it as the U.S. government providing what he called political risk insurance to multinational corporations who are thinking of moving jobs and investment and manufacturing overseas. Is that, in fact, an incentive for a company deciding whether or not to move manufacturing investment or jobs overseas, to know that it can have that political risk insurance?
Absolutely. I think ISDS, just like you described it, it is a form of political risk insurance. Companies are able to access it without approval from either government. So I do think it is an incentive to offshore.
So I just conclude on that by pointing out some of the really grotesque abuses of the ISDS system. One of the smallest and poorest countries in the world is Togo, on the west coast of Africa. Togo had the temerity to advertise on its cigarette packages that cigarette smoking was dangerous. So the tobacco industry, with billions of dollars behind it, pounded poor little Togo into submission with ISDS lawsuits, simply because they had the money and they could, and Togo was such a small target that they couldn't weather the battering. It's one thing to go after the United States or the European Union or something like that, but these abuses of the ISDS by industry in truly inappropriate ways just before right is yet another reason to be rid of these damned ISDSs.